We begin here at 5 with late breaking news. The former EMS company under Jamie Knoll, the former Clark County, Indiana sheriff, has filed for bankruptcy. Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association, or New Chapel EMS, as it is known better to the public, released a letter today saying the damage from Jamie Knoll was too great to come back from. Jamie Knoll admitted to spending over $3 million on himself, his family, and friends using New Chapel credit cards. New Chapel spokesperson Coy Travis says they had to plan to downsize their fleet, but were stopped by court orders. He went on to say as a result, they cannot sell their assets and had no choice but to file for protection under Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which allows them to reorganize. Again, that's a developing story, and now we move on to another WHAS11 focus investigation with a brand new development. A family is suing the Louisville jail, saying the jail administration and 3 officers didn't do enough to save their son's life in 2024 when he was in jail. This is a story we first told you about in a lengthy investigation just last month. In that report, our Travis Breeze uncovered that Richard Graham died while in custody on May 19th of 2024. Within hours of being booked and processed in the Louisville jail, Graham died of a drug overdose. According to the Metro Corrections reports, a pat-down and body scan were performed, but nothing reported as unusual. But when Travis took a closer look at that scan, he noticed something on the x-ray that was odd and stood out. He's joining me now in our studio with the claims in this new lawsuit. Travis?
Doug, this lawsuit, which was filed yesterday, says that a foreign object can clearly be seen in the body scan, although the lawsuit doesn't list any other evidence other than the expert that I interviewed in my story back in June. The attorney says if they are successful in this case, it will be a win for Richard Graham's family and also anyone who knows someone in the Louisville jail.
What I hope to do is to improve the treatment of the least among us in Louisville.
Attorney John Little says he's fighting for Richard Graham and all future inmates at LMDC. Richard died May 19th, 2024 of a drug overdose just 18 hours after he was booked into jail. I spoke to Richard's mother, Monica, in an investigation last month.
No, I'm not saying Richard would still be here, but there is a thought in my mind, if they would have checked on him, maybe they could have saved his life.
The jail's internal investigation says officers missed 2 opportunities to save Richard's life. The report says in the hours leading up to his drug overdose, 2 officers did improper cell checks that weren't thorough enough, and if they had, it is possible that inmate Graham would have been found to be in distress hours before the time the other inmates finally activated the Narcan alarm.
They have these specific body checks for a reason. Why was he missed twice?
My investigation in June also questioned Richard's body scan included in the report. There is an unusual object in his stomach right here that a jail expert said should have raised a red flag.
But I can say that definitively it looks like contraband.
The officer who did this body scan was never interviewed, and the body scan wasn't discussed in the report. The jail wouldn't say anything today other than that it doesn't comment on pending litigation. However, Director Jerry Collins answered questions at length about this case in a one-on-one interview in June. This clip from our investigation is directly cited in Little's lawsuit.
No, where he was what we call rear security. Like you said, he's been here a day. He wasn't even classified and moved up. So more than likely, and again, there's pending litigation, more than likely he got that in.
Little says he's eager to get a full, unredacted version of the internal investigation.
This is somebody's son. It could be your son. It could be your nephew, your brother.
I would like to point out that Louisville Metro Corrections has seen a decrease in in-custody deaths since Director Jerry Collins took over in March 2022. There were 9 deaths in 2022, and there have been 3 deaths each of the last 3 years. In the studio, Travis Breeze, WHAS 11 on your side.
He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home.
Surviving roommate taking the stand today, speaking directly to the man who killed 4 students at an Idaho college. Family and friends of the young victims had harsh and at times angry words for Brian Cobberger before his sentencing today. Well, the judge sentenced Brian Cobberger to 4 life sentences today. Cobberger took a plea deal after confessing to breaking into the students' off-campus apartment and stabbing them. Here's ABC's Alex Stone in Idaho with more from the hearing.
Fighting through tears, family members, friends, and roommates of Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogan stood in front of admitted killer Brian Cobberger to tell him directly how the murders impacted them.
We will grow old without our only child, our bright, beautiful friend and daughter. In the end, there are no words that can accurately capture the devastation of losing Maddie.
Among those to speak, Dylan Mortensen, one of 2 surviving roommates who told police she saw the killer that night in 2022 at their off-campus home in Moscow. A shadowy figure with bushy eyebrows. Dylan today telling the court,
He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home.
Cobberger sitting staring straight ahead, showing no emotion. Kaylee's father, Steve Gonsalves, turning to the lectern to directly address Cobberger.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community.
Then clapping in the courtroom after Kaylee's sister addressed Cobberger, calling him pathetic.
If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your Thank you.
Thank you. Cobberger today declining to make a statement. The judge then sentencing Cobberger to 4 consecutive life sentences, plus 10 years for burglary. The judge's sentence also included a $50,000 fine for each count and a $5,000 civil penalty for each family. Alex Stone, ABC News, Boise, Idaho.
There is a no-contact order between Brian Cobberger and the victims' families, but it ends on January 5th, 2027. The state has submitted a request to extend that order for another 99 years. 2 men indicted by a grand jury in connection to a murder that happened in Louisville's Russell neighborhood in the fall of 2024. On October 20th, 34-year-old Mitchell Jackson was found dead at 18th and Muhammad Ali Boulevard in the West End. Authorities said the victim was wrapped in sheets and zip ties, then covered in garbage bags and electrical tape and tied at his feet to the bumper of an SUV. The medical examiner later determined that Jackson had been shot. This man, 35-year-old Chadwick Fleming, was already arrested and charged with tampering with physical evidence and abuse of a corpse, but he's now indicted with murder. Another man was also indicted for tampering with evidence and abuse of a corpse. 26-year-old Devon Collins, right here, is in custody, facing the same charges as Fleming. LMPD says Collins was arrested without incident and is now being held in the Louisville jail. Also new today, Metro Police Chief Paul Humphrey speaking for the first time on camera about the sentencing of the former police detective Brett Hankison. The chief addressing the protests outside the federal courthouse this week, with one protester jumping on the hood of a moving Louisville Water Company truck. Humphrey said protesters have a right to make their voices heard as long as they aren't breaking the law and stopping traffic. As for the sentence for Hankison and the judge's decision, 2 years and 9 months for Hankison, this is what the chief said.
So what we're going to do is we're going to learn from everything that has happened in the past, understanding the pain that it caused, both to the community, to Breonna Taylor's family, and to this department. There are a lot of officers that have been negatively impacted by those incidents as well. And so we want to make sure that we learn from all of that, and we are better for it as an agency and as a city.
Humphrey also says that Metro Police cannot control the, quote, flip-flopping of administrations from the U.S. Department of Justice, end quote, but is aiming to improve as an agency and a city. Hankison, the only officer that night convicted for their role in the fatal raid on Breonna Taylor's apartment. The Highlander Fire Protection District has been awarded the 2025 Indiana Department of Health grant.
All right, haul team, prepare to lower.
And they received the grant through the First Responder Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act for naloxone. The grant provides 400 doses of this potentially life-saving medicine to first responders. Captain of EMS of Highlander Fire, Keith Young, says the grant is a reassurance for the frontliners.
It gives them a sense that they can do something to help in an overdose situation. With our frontline guys, it gives them that mindset like, hey, we've got this, we can use this tool now and hopefully bring them around before the ambulance arrives.
The fire district in southern Indiana has partnered with the Floyd County Sheriff's Department, the Coroner's Office, and Georgetown, Indiana Fire to distribute Narcan to all personnel, ensuring access throughout the community. After delays, the first time crews will now start work to repair part of Hospital Curve in downtown Louisville starting this Friday. A heads up about traffic. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is going to be closing the left 3 lanes on the Kennedy Bridge to limit access to I-65. That's going to start Friday night at 8 p.m. They hope to reopen Monday morning at 5 a.m. They're going to be doing a full replacement of the expansion joints, which will hopefully help with potholes in the area as well. While the lanes are closed, KYTC is also going to be putting down a special adhesive and epoxy surface to I-65 at a problem curve. As you know, we've seen several semi crashes at that exit right off the Kennedy Bridge. They are hoping this will improve the traction there and help add some friction so that those crashes will stop. All right, today we don't have to worry about any rain. In fact, it seems like we've stopped talking about that for a while. Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell is joining me here with this heat wave, and it's even going to get hotter. Mallory?
That is right. Today, just kind of a tease of what's to come, because we are expecting many days, likely in the mid-90s for actual air temperatures and heat indices well into the triple digits. That's starting tomorrow. This is when we have our first heat advisory for much of the Kentuckiana viewing area from noon until 8 p.m. And I'm expecting many more of these to be issued over the next week while we're stuck in this pattern here. Lots of sunshine, of course, today. Temperatures hot, but not as bad as they will be. Expect temperatures, if you're heading out this evening, upper 80s, lower 90s. Feel like temperatures, of course, hotter than that because we are still dealing with the humidity. We try to get some of that drier air to work in from the northeast. We can still see plenty of dew points in the 70s, especially west and southwest of Louisville. So staying dry throughout this afternoon and evening. Once again, no issues if you're heading out to a patio. Just, of course, the heat tonight. 90s will drop down to the 80s once that sun does set, and then overnight lows will drop down into the 70s. But, of course, we'll talk much more about the heat bill through the weekend and our slight chance for some pop-up storms. That's coming up in our 7-day forecast.
Mallory, thank you very much. A story that's all new for you at 5, and it's big news for the safety of homes in some City of Louisville neighborhoods. The mayor reports house fires are down 63%, and firefighters tonight are crediting a new pilot program for this, centered around securing vacant homes in West Louisville. And that's where we find WHAS11's Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Jessica Farley. They're out live now. And Isaiah, the city has substantial change with how they board up homes. Are they no longer using wood on these vacant homes?
Doug, that's the plan. That's what they're doing in the short term and hope to make it a long-term practice. Now, according to the order to vacate sign at this home on 16th and Chestnut, this home has been abandoned for about 5 months. It's a long time. A lot of, dilapidation is, if you could say, has happened in that period of time. You can see the plywood here. This is now what the city is using, making standard practice, more of a see-through plastic. That this doesn't just reduce fires, but reduce violence too.
It's hard. It'd be difficult for somebody to really just try to shatter this or break in.
And that's the goal as Louisville transitions away from boarding up abandoned homes with plywood, instead opting for this see-through plastic.
Installing the clear boarding on these properties, it's much harder to get in. We've had a high success rate.
This is the before and this is the after.
Nobody knows the homes in the Russell neighborhood better than the woman nicknamed the mayor of Russell, longtime community leader Jackie Floyd.
No, this is just windows.
She says this pilot program to prevent break-ins and house fires in the West End, like this abandoned duplex at 16th and Chestnut, has been effective so far. You can see where the plywood has been removed at one of the doors with the transparent plastic in its place.
And they're not trying to intentionally set the place on fire. They're just trying to keep warm. But fire can spread if you're not careful. And then you know, it spreads to the next house.
Louisville Fire Assistant Chief Brian Muir.
It meant that we had a 63% decrease in vacant house fires for that area.
During the first year of this pilot program, the city says it's reduced vacant house break-ins in the Portland and Russell neighborhoods by more than 20. And we actually have a number here as far as vacant break-ins are concerned. I'm told that the city has gotten those second or third time break-ins down from 17 in the previous year to 0 after this pilot program went into effect, Doug.
Isaiah, we've seen so many times in this community, some of these fires can become spectacular and huge for the Louisville Fire Department because they start in these vacant homes and then they spread. So has the fire department been able to ever track just how many fires that the vacant homes end up triggering that become a bigger problem?
Doug, they say it's about a fourth of all these fires that break out just from spreading from home to home. So this isn't just about this duplex. This is about every single person living along Chestnut Street here in Russell and the neighboring areas and communities as well. Now, coming up here at 6, we're also going to talk about, again, the violence aspect of this. We were heard from a council member in a recent shooting, actually, that some of these weapons used in that were allegedly being stored in a vacant home like this one. Doug.
All right, such a simple change making a big difference there behind you in that house. Thank you, Isaiah.